This is lesson 39, rate of change. These are the steps. Read the problem. Identify the two labels that are being compared. Create a fraction with the two labels and divide by the denominator. Okay? Let me show you a couple of them. We're going to focus on two types of problems, money and hiking. Okay? So number one, a student is saving money. After 5 weeks, the student has saved $50. At what rate is the student saving money? Okay? So on number one, the first thing I'm going to do is read the problem, and I just did that. Then I'm going to ask myself, what are the two labels? Well, it's talking about weeks and it's talking about money, okay? So, dollars, right? So these are the two things. I could either put weeks on top or I could put the money at the bottom or vice versa. I kind of want to know how much does a student save each week. So I start with putting the money at the top. So I take the total money, $50, over the total weeks, which is 5 weeks. Okay? And I made my fraction, okay? And then I'm going to divide. Step 4 says divide by the denominator, which means I'm going to divide the numerator and denominator by 5, okay? So 50 divided by 5 is $10, and 5 divided by 5 is 1 week, okay? So this is giving me a unit rate that this student is saving $10 a week. It means that they're increasing $10 a week. Does that make sense, everyone?
Yes.
Okay? So how did I do it again? Whenever you do these problems, you have to read, you have to participate. When you do the word problems, you have to say, a student is saving money, and read the whole problem. Then I thought about what are the two values that are being compared. We have weeks and money, and I have to think, do I want to think about how much money the student is saving each week, or do I want to think about how many, in how many weeks does the student save $1? Okay, so I want to figure out how much money a student saves in 1 week. So set up the problem, divide by the denominator, and we get student saves $10 in 1 week. Okay, number 2. This one's applicable. Mount Baldy is just like down the freeway a little bit. Mount Baldy is it's about 10,000 feet. All right. Mount Baldy is 10,000 feet tall. In order to hike Mount Baldy, you must start at an elevation of 6,400 feet. The hike is 10 miles one way. What is the rate of increase in elevation? Okay. So what are the two things that they're talking about here? We have feet, and we have distance, miles, how long the hike is. Okay. So we want to see how hard is it to hike, right? We could either think about how many miles does it take to hike 1 foot, which would be kind of useless because it's all like that's not relevant. Or I could think about how many feet will I go in elevation after 1 mile. So that's what I want to do. So I'm going to take the 10,000 feet, put it in my numerator, and we have an elevation, or the distance is 10 miles. Okay, divide by the denominator, so the denominator is 10. So 10,000 feet divided by 10 is 1,000. This isn't difficult. And, oh, I did this one incorrectly. I'm sorry. So, I was going too quickly. I apologize for that. I did this one on purpose. So, where does the hike start at? What's the elevation the hike starts at? 6,400 feet. Where does it end?
10,000.
10,000. Sorry about this. I missed that important detail. So we have to figure out what's the change in distance, right? So we have to subtract. What's 10,000 minus 6,400 first? Not quite. Not 4,600.
Oh, yeah.
3,600, right? So this is the change in elevation on this hike. Okay? So that's how much higher I'm going to have to go when I get to that elevation, and I'm going to do this in 10 miles. So that means in this hike I'm going to go 360 feet in vertical elevation every 1 mile. Okay? Is this hard? No, it's not that hard. Most people could do this. Okay? It's a very gradual ascent. Okay? Whereas something like 1,000 feet in a mile is pretty hard. So, and then that's just for this problem. So that's how we do this problem. So what does this mean to us is, like, let's say you were going to go on a hike. You could go download an app and you can figure out, like, look at the beginning, elevation of a hike, the ending elevation of a hike, figure out what the difference is. This is the difference. Figure out how long the hike is, and you can say, oh, okay, to go up GMR, let's say there's, the hike over there. Isn't there a hike over by Glendora? Have you guys done that one? I think so. You're like, okay, this is the difference. That's a pretty steep hike. Or you could do the Mount Baldy one, which is probably pretty steep too, but it's not as steep, I don't think. I haven't done it. But anyways, it's very applicational. I like this lesson. So anyways, I'd like you to do right now is 1 still the 2 is about number 1, 2 still 1 is about number 2, and then you're going to write this whole slide down questionnaire thing. It's going to take a little while. Just this slide, and then we're going to do some practice together. Okay, ready, set, talk. Here we go, continuing number 3. Quiet. Let's do a few more of these. A student is saving money. After 7 weeks, the student had saved $140. At what rate is the student saving money? Okay, what are the two things we're comparing? Let's do this one together. What are the two things? Yes? Weeks and money, right? So we know that this student has $140 after 7 weeks, okay? So do we want to have money in the numerator or in the denominator? It doesn't matter. Thank you. But what do you prefer to end off with? Let's think about it. Do you want to know how much money the student has after 1 week, or do you want to know how many weeks it takes for the student to make $1? So think about it. Do you want $1 in the denominator, or do you want 1 week in the denominator? 1 week, right? Because, you know, the student can make $1 pretty quickly, and it'll be like 0.2 something or 0.1. So we want to deal with putting the dollars in the numerator. So $140 in 7 weeks. Okay? Next step, what do we need to do? Divide by what? By 7, right? So what's 140 divided by 7? $20. And what's 7 divided by 7? 1 week, right? So this student is making, yeah, $20. Maybe they have like, maybe the student has an allowance to get lunch and they don't eat lunch. So they save their money. Has anyone ever done that, taking your allowance and saved it? Okay. I think I've done that a few times in my life. Yeah. Next one, number 4. A student is saving money. After 40 weeks, the student had saved $2,000. Woo! That's all school year. Let's say the student has saved money. They had a job too. Let's say they had a job too. Okay? So after a whole school year, their bank account rose $2,000. Okay? Give me your answer. I'm going to give you about a minute to figure this one out. This one's very similar to the last problem, so go. So on this particular one, our answer is $50 a week. So the first thing you just start with $2,000 on the top. 40 weeks on the bottom, and you divide numerator and denominator by 40. 2,000 divided by 40 is $50. 40 divided by 40 is 1 week. So this person is saving $50 a week. Okay, maybe they have a job. Okay, and they're saving up. So some of you are going to start saving up for a car. I had to save up for my own car, so I got a job, and because I didn't really get an allowance. So and then I worked, okay? I worked at In-N-Out, right? I got free food. It was awesome. Worked at In-N-Out. I think I made more money than this within a short time. But, you know, yeah, you get a job, okay? Here we go. This also works the opposite way. How much money will you lose after 40 weeks if you spend $50 a week? $2,000, right? After a year of spending $50 a week, you spend $2,000, right? Yeah. Does that make sense? Yeah. So it goes both ways. It's a rate of change, right? In this case, the student is saving money. Okay, let's try another one. Let's look at this one, number 5. Ooh, a hike reaches an elevation of 4,300 feet. Okay, that's what it reaches. Is that the beginning or the end? The end. The end, good. To begin the hike, you must start at an elevation of 6,400 feet. Ooh, what kind of hike is this? Downhill. Downhill, good. The hike is 3 miles one way. That means from the beginning to the end of the destination is 3 miles. What is the rate of increase or decrease, okay? So this one's a 2-part, right? You have to figure out what the difference is and then tell me what the rate of change is. Ready, set, go. Okay, so on this one, again, you know it's downhill. You have to figure out what the difference is. So it's actually going to go, let me show you a different way to do this. If you do 4,300, I'm sorry. And you subtract 6,400, what's your answer? What? Negative 2,100, right? Right? Isn't the rate negative? Right? Are you going uphill or downhill?
Down.
Okay. If you put positive, that's okay, but you should really have negative. So it's negative 2,100 feet over 3 miles, right? Because it's going downhill. Our rate is negative, right? So you divide both the numerator and denominator by 3, and you get 2,100 divided by 3 is negative 700 feet down 1 mile for each mile. And that's pretty steep, actually. Okay? It's pretty steep. That's going to be really difficult to come out of that hike when you go downhill. So, that's how we do that one, okay? Now, sometimes on your homework, I'm going to have you compare hikes. Okay, those are the harder problems where you have to figure out which hike is easier, which one's harder, okay? So you have to do, it's like a double problem almost, all right? But that's it, this is rates, okay? And we use rates all the time. We use it for, you know, when we want to compare and contrast which hikes are easier, if what the elevation difference is. Or if we're trying to save money, that's really important to know our rate of difference. Okay, if you want to be a millionaire one day, you're like, okay, I want to be a millionaire by the time I'm 30. Okay? And then you figure out how many days it is from now to until you're 30 years old. How much money do you have to save? I'm sure you can figure out a number. It is a lot of years, but you know, is there a way to save that money? If you have a way to look at life in bites, small pieces, then you can be really successful. Or let's say you're trying to, like for me, I'm trying to lose weight. I'm like, okay, what's my rate of losing weight? Okay, well, I have a goal weight and I have my current weight. Okay, so I want to lose 1.5 pounds per week. Okay, so is that hard to do? No. But if I'm trying to say I need to lose 20 pounds, that's kind of a little overwhelming, right? To lose a big amount, right? Or even 40 pounds, right? But if you're looking at little bite size, like 1.5 pounds a week, it's not so difficult, okay? Or maybe you're trying to gain weight. I don't know. Some people are. I've met people that are like, I gotta gain weight. So like, okay, how much do you need to gain? And they're like, I gotta gain 10 pounds because my doctor said so. And so like, well, how do you do that? Well, maybe you have a goal. Maybe the person wants to gain 2 pounds a week, right? That'd be awesome to have to gain weight. Just eat a lot of food. Are you trying to gain weight? Or for wrestling, are you in wrestling? Yeah, for wrestling you have to gain weight. Or maybe certain sports, maybe you're a football player, and you're just trying to like bulk up and like so you could hit the other players harder. Okay, anyways, really important stuff, really applicable. So this ends this lesson.